Hey, am I contagious?
Oh, my bad, my brother. I learned from the best.
These are loud. I don't know why.
That's the one right there.
I don't know.
It's all because of music.
All right. Facts come out of the Breonna Taylor case. A Canadian arrested for trying to kill President Trump. Princeton facing a uber woke lawsuit. All that and a whole lot more coming up today's Wade and Carter Show.
Just right back in the saddle.
Matter of fact.
Just like bam.
I don't need the fanfare. Hey, good
The
morning.
last time I saw somebody just get right back in the saddle like that, Johnny Carson. I'm talking early to mid 80s. He'd be gone 3 or 4 nights. He'd come back in. Hello, Ed. Hello, Doc.
You do it pretty well. Yes.
Yes. So good. And then Ed started making that side cheese with the Publishers Clearinghouse.
Him and Dick Clark.
Bro, does anybody know how that really works, Publishers Clearinghouse? Is that a legit deal? Win $3,500 a week for life?
I think it is. It's like $1,000 a day now for life, right?
See, how do they do that, though? I mean, what is it from magazine subscriptions?
I guess.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
It's true, though. Like, the numbers are staggering. I mean, what I always do, this is the way my brain works. A little insight for those of you that are thinking people. If I'm going to give you $3,500 a week for life, and just made that number up, 50 weeks a year, 3,500. You're talking about, what is that?
$3,500 a week for life.
It's like
That's what, 150 grand.
Yeah, $175,000 a year. So call it 200 grand a year. So if you're making 2%, you'd have to put $10 million into an account and let the interest accrue to pay somebody. There had to be $10 million tied up at all times for the rest of that guy's life.
Every single year they're doing something like
where
this.
Where are they getting? I mean, it's just $10 million, I guess. There's Sheriff Louderback. Welcome back, Ash. Good morning. Good morning to you, sir. 176 YouTubers. We talked about that while you were. Yeah. Well, I think some of them may have been bots.
Okay, well.
Some of them were probably like Russian prostitutes.
Probably. Maybe Hunter Biden paid them to join us.
An oligarch. Could have been an oligarch. They found out that we were both not just married, but happily married.
Yeah.
And the Russian prostitutes started bailing off of YouTube. I hate it because we never got the pics. See, I figured that we'd start getting pics.
Well, we got the emails asking us to click the link here and send money.
Yeah. I've actually gotten that email about my brother has $50 million. If you'll just send him $1,000 so he can do the paperwork, he wants to give it to you.
He's got 50 million. He can't spare a grand. He can't pay himself 50 grand to do the paperwork.
And then the next day you get the call. This is IRS. The cops are coming to your house if you don't pay us the taxes on the 50 million that you got from the Russian. Come on, people.
Oh yeah, well, I got a voicemail yesterday that was pretty good. Asked me to verify my address and my place of work because I'm being served by the process division. And if I don't respond, they're gonna contact my HR department. So if they already know my HR department, why do they need me to confirm that?
What do you think that scam is about? I mean, they're not. So nobody's really trying to sue you.
No.
Like they're.
I think they're trying to verify your address, so place of work, so they
steal
can
your identity.
Yeah. That's what I think it is. So we got off on a tangent before we even got to this.
Well, we did.
Let's do this.
We're not in a hurry on that. But we can do it.
Sure, let's do it.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by our great friends at Deerland Feed. Lacey Deerland Rosenquist checked in every day you were gone. I think mostly like a lost puppy, just hoping, hopeful, prayerful that you would be there.
I'm going to have to go check in with Lacey today because that rain did wonders for my grass and my garden.
Got the ants, got the ant piles everywhere.
A few of those, but lots of weeds in my garden thanks to the rain too, along with my crops.
You know, I've been watching that show Yellowstone. I think they come to Deerland Feed. There's not a weed. The fields are like prairies. The trees are all healthy. There's never a down limb unless they're doing a scene with a campfire. Then there's a down limb. But the place looks like a park, literally, like a manicured park. It's ridiculous.
They would not have been able to settle the Wild West if you watched Westerns because they never had a saw.
Right.
To build their campfires. It's always just perfect campfires off pieces of wood. Laying there in the middle of the prairie.
72 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 82. The sun should come out this afternoon. 3, 4 o'clock, start peeking through the clouds.
Just in time to set.
And then the rest, yes, it's going to go away. The rest of the week and through the weekend should be sunny. Highs just still moderate, just below 90. Just give me a preview.
I'll give you a long-term preview. In the next week, we're talking lows like 60, 59 overnight.
The winter of 2020, we will rebuild. You never know what's going to happen, though. It's 2020. Anything can happen.
I see somebody posted, get ready for the season finale of 2020.
Yeah. California's governor announcing yesterday that by 2035, they will no longer sell new internal combustion engine vehicles in the state of California. And then he said, I found this interesting. It just shows you how.
Well, because they're going to tax everybody that leaves there. So he's not worried about them leaving.
But it shows you how communist they are. He actually said this. We're not going to take your cars. We're not saying you can't have a gasoline. They didn't say gasoline. An internal combustion engine vehicle. We're just saying we're not going to make or sell any more in the state of California. You can have them, trade them, swap them, but we're not going to. You won't be able to buy if there's a 2035 Cadillac with a V8 in it. You can't buy it in California.
In 15 years.
In 15 years. And here's the problem.
Of course, he can make that promise because he won't be governor in 15 years. And somebody else come along and say, well, this just isn't reasonable.
And the reality is what they haven't figured out yet is how to do large-scale transportation. There's not a Kenworth with an electric motor that's got enough oomph to make anything happen.
It's interesting because I was looking, traveling around, and we'll get to some of my weekend vacation travel plans and stuff.
Salacious, is it salacious?
Salacious
yeah.
Details that I know you're all wanting.
I cannot wait.
But saw a lot of the Mercedes G-Wagons on the road in Dallas.
Just people are urinating blood driving that thing. Yeah. That's a very functional vehicle, but it's like having a tank.
Well, it's made by an Austrian tank company, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's just meant to be on the back roads of Morocco. Yeah,
but I really like them. They're cool looking.
They are cool.
But anyway, I saw a few of the Tesla crossover SUV things. These things are as ugly as the Pontiac Aztek was.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember that thing?
Yeah, with that kind of weird
black looked like a doorstop.
Yes.
It's basically what it looked like. That's what the Tesla SUV reminds me of. It is not an attractive vehicle at all, but I saw a few of them driving around the Dallas area. And it made me want to go look up that Tesla truck that was announced earlier this year that looks even more like a doorstop.
Right. $100,000.
And is ugly for one thing, may have decent cargo capacity, can tow 14,000 pounds, which is great.
2 blocks.
That's about it. Here's the thing. Unloaded, the range of that truck is 250 miles.
14,000 pounds behind it will go 50 miles.
You're not going on vacation with your 35-foot trailer being towed by that thing, because unless your vacation is going from your driveway where you've loaded up the family truck, sir, to the end of the block and camping there. and running your sewer like
should we turn around now
Yeah.
or turn around tomorrow?
and running your sewer or running your black and gray water into the sewer like Cousin Eddie
You
in
can
Christmas
run,
vacation.
you can run the length of your extension cord. That's it.
That's it.
When you
So-
unplug, you're done.
So, but there's going to be environmentally woke folks who are going to go and drop a whole bunch of money on this thing, and just to show off how environmentally woke they are for a truck that really can't do anything other than seat 2 people, maybe 4, and you can drive around in something that looks like that.
Where I thought they had
And a
problems,
isosceles triangle.
part of their marketing strategy depends on you caring about the environment. Like, you're not, let's just say that you're on the fence. If you could buy a brand new Chevy Silverado for $68,500 loaded, or you could buy a Tesla for $40,000 loaded, you might be inclined as an intelligent consumer to give the Tesla a chance because it's saving you 28 grand. The problem in reality is the Chevy's $55,000 and the Tesla's $80,000. Now you've got to make a $25,000 commitment, emotion-based Democrat, which, by the way, Democrats don't drive trucks. Then you got to make that investment to only be driving something that's has less utility. And then the problem comes up, the emissions now or the battery disposal later.
Yeah.
It's not like, the way to do it is to find a way to put a little nuclear George
Nuclear
W.
reactor in
nuclear reactor in there, and it's a $14 million car, and it'll run forever.
And don't get me wrong, the Tesla S is a nice looking sedan.
Good looking car.
But again, that's a car that if I'm living in Houston, maybe a city where I have a commute,
And there's
And
plugs
that's-
everywhere.
and that's really the only place I'm going is to work and home,
A woke city like Houston.
then I might consider it if I was going to spend that kind of money on a vehicle, because I no longer have gas. Ever.
I saw what you ate on vacation. You're always going to have gas. Are you kidding me?
But I'm not,
Tell me about Princeton. Then we'll do a break. Then we'll talk about your romantic getaway.
Well, Princeton decided that in all their wokeness, the president of Princeton,
Who's not really all that smart.
well, you would think would be, right? Writes a letter to the entire world and puts it out there online for everybody to see that Princeton is racist.
He apologized for Princeton, the very core, the values of our university, the very foundations upon which we're built are just bereft with racism, systemic racism. We're a terrible university. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting that out there.
And it really makes you want to go there, doesn't it?
Yeah. So guess what
Said that
happened?
the racist assumptions are embedded in the structures of the university itself, he wrote.
There must be, honestly, there must be some sayings like carved into some limestone somewhere that,
Well, no, he was talking about their hiring, their admissions. That's what he was talking about, not
Right.
maybe something that.
not literal, but their basic tenets are racist.
So the Department of Education took his letter pretty seriously, and now they're investigating Princeton University
Oh, goodness.
under, based on the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that could mean they're now looking at their financial aid, whether they discriminated on that. They're looking at whether or not they discriminated on their admission policies and practices, and they're looking at whether or not they discriminated on their hiring. So his trying to be woke just opened up Pandora's box
So they're in
to
trouble.
that university. And you know what's going to happen next. Not only will the federal government fine the heck out of them if they find something, but you know that the lawsuits are coming.
Sure. And then people.
Their endowment, which is probably in the billions, it's still going to be in the billions when it's all said and done, but not as many billions.
But then you'll have people occupying Princeton. There'll be a little Chad set up at Princeton. There'll be rallies at Princeton. It's long been a elitist white university. It's craziness.
Yeah, the U.S. Department of Education said that they are opening an investigation based on the university's admitted racism, according to the letter that the U.S. Department of Education sent to the president of Princeton.
Did you ever start screaming off all the names of the great folks that checked in?
We have not done that yet this morning. I think Robin Knipling was the first one.
Do that. I'm going to blow my nose.
Oh, that's what you can mute your mic.
Oh,
So nobody has to hear that. Good morning, Mike Bloschke, Michael Jolly. Matt Boucher is in. Karen Webb, good morning. Marvin Mickish. Marvin, yeah, Brent did a good job on his own.
Thank you. We had a good time. Great. I mean, you folks know, and I don't know if you listen to the show or not, but so Caleb Shaw came in and did his turn, which is just always awesome.
Rock solid.
He's awesome. John Paul Hull came in.
Surprisingly, was very good.
He's very good. And because he works at a cerebral level, honestly, where there's things that I ended up laughing more after the show than I did during the show.
Because you didn't get them until after
the show.
Right,
and I made fun of myself. You're not going to make me laugh today, but, he actually did. Very, very good.
Yeah, just 2 hours later, by the time he actually got it and was able to look in the dictionary at the big words he used.
Will you tell me if you think this is fair or not? Because we've never talked about this. When the show is over and later on during the day, I go, look, if I was going to say I picked a average daily number of views on Wade and Carter, I would say it pushes 1,000 views a day on the Facebook, right? Yeah. You go and if you look at the old shows, it'll say there's 1,000 views. I guess John Paul was really, really good because we had 4,500 views of Tuesday.
And still climbing.
And it's still climbing. So this is the same JP that manipulated things to where now we have almost 200. I don't know what, but there's a message in there for people that worry about elections. If a guy with JP's acumen set his mind towards shaping people's thoughts, I mean, 4,500 views on it, he's like, it's kind of you could call it an anomaly. It may not be a trend, but it was like, wow, 4,500 views is a big day. Yeah. And then yesterday was
great interview. You did a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I really enjoyed having Mr. George Coleman on the show. I hope that we develop a rapport with his office, and I hope that he starts listening to the show. I thought he was very engaging. You're around people. I don't want to get all mushy. I'm glad you're back. But we gravitated to each other very quickly. And Mr. Coleman is a guy that you can just tell he's a nice man.
Yeah.
I actually left after what I've been used to at the Advocate, feeling like maybe he's too nice to be in the newspaper business.
Well, the thing that got me was in watching that, because unlike you, I'm not old. I can sleep in when I'm on vacation.
Right.
So I, didn't watch the show till later. But what I thought was interesting was he harkens back to a time.
Right.
But it's the same principles that he's trying to instill and has instilled in the Victoria Advocate that were instilled in me when I was in broadcasting and journalism school. The facts, as you know them, verified and accurate. And it's nice to be first, but it's better and best to be right.
Right. Which, by the way,
that's what I got a sense of what he's trying to do with the Victoria Advocate. And I like the fact that when a lady called to complain about a story about the coverage of the Republican National Convention, he took the time to sit with her and reviewed the story and said, you know what? This AP story has facts, but also has a whole lot of editorial spin in it as well. And now he said that resulted in them reviewing all the AP stories and making sure that they don't put out editorial content in what should be news stories, because he said that's reserved for the viewpoint section, their editorials. I thought it was phenomenal. Great job yesterday, man.
Thank you. And I'll tell you that I look back at some of the stories that you and I have spent time on. It leads into one we're going to talk about today. The Jacob Blake deal. You and I said, something just doesn't sound right. something doesn't sound right in this enlightened era that these police just showed up somewhere and shot this guy. And then we find out later, oh, he was
the domestic
the
assault.
domestic assault.
He wasn't stopping a
he
fight between
had
two
a
women,
knife.
which was the story, right?
Oh, he was reaching for something in his car. And he falls in that category of had it coming. Then you find the deal. We were quick to condemn the apparent police abuse by the officer named Chauvin against George Floyd, which really started a lot of this mess. And yet the autopsy now, oh, by the way, the dude most likely OD'd. And did you know, Ash, that the autopsy didn't show any bruising on his neck?
Yeah.
I can remember seeing part of the video when a guy was saying that the whole thing was staged and that George Floyd didn't really die. Of course, those people are out there. But he did point out, he goes, look at the stress that Chauvin's back leg is bearing. There is a very light force being exerted on Floyd's neck. That would be consistent with the autopsy results that show there was no bruising on his neck. I mean, the guy died because he was hopped up on PCP or something.
Well, holding him down and not providing medical care probably all contributed to it as well.
No doubt. The cops in this case, I think, were excessive and out of control. And I'm not sure it deserved everything that we've seen happen in the country since then.
Andy Ria Jr., good morning. BJ Nelson.
Good morning. Good morning.
Chris Conrad. Judge Posey. Nadla Mayer. Bobby Leister, good morning.
Hello, Judge.
Patrick Strauss. Sheriff Louderback. Lisa Poole. Scott Tomko. Jenna West.
Says it's like the lottery having you back.
Lacey Rosenquist, good morning to you.
It's like the lottery. You go in there, you pay your $10, you do all that scratch off, get that stuff all over your car, and you get nothing. That's what it's like. It's exact 22 minutes in, that's exactly what you got. Nothing.
That's exactly what I got with the scratch offs. We made a pact to buy a couple scratch offs every time we made a stop for gas.
Sure.
And this way, nothing. Didn't even get my money back on it.
You're like Thelma and Louise. Y'all stopped, robbed a bank, bought some lottery. Steve Kidder says Russian hookers. I mean, he just takes phrases out of context and turns them into content.
Iceman is in. Jenna West says she hadn't gotten an email from a Nigerian prince in a while.
That's that guy. That's the one.
Scott Tomko, we're just trying to catch up. Christina Wise, Jeremy Pena.
We haven't asked Christina about her hand. I hope she's healed up.
Better. Justin Glass, good morning. Reno Conchola. You continue.
Bless you. That was a sneeze. Here you go. Here you go, honey.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Welcome back.
Allergies. Let's see who else is in real quick. We'll try and catch up.
Let's try to catch up.
Yeah. And then we got to catch up.
Oh, we're good, man. Hey, the Hall of Famer take the morning. He'll take part of the morning off.
Adam Sugar, Larry Lay, Scott Tomko. he has a legitimate question.
Legitimate point.
How is California going to fight their yearly fires in battery-powered fire engines?
Yeah, the batteries get hot, blow up.
Yeah. Calling everybody else from the rest of the country to come fight their fires, according to Jenna West. True story.
Michael, Charlie, we get that.
Yeah. Glad he kept it PC.
He had that vacuum truck out there sucking out the. Oh goodness, the septic.
Kelly Frommie, good morning. Don Nicole.
Yeah. T-Lad.
Now, don't remind me, Don. Don't remind me.
I've never seen anybody more geeked about a getaway to Cabo San Lucas than T-Lad. I mean, she's already laying stuff out. There's earrings laying on her nightstand because they're on the Friday night. That's what she's wearing to dinner. It's out. It's on at my house.
Clayton Hell, good morning. Scott Snow. Will Vincent is in. Christina Wise says still painful. She starts occupational therapy today. I'm sure that will not be fun.
I thought she was saying it was painful that I was going to be gone in 3 weeks.
Oh, it might be.
You'll be okay, Christina. Yeah. You'll be okay.
So I think we're caught up now. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for welcoming me back. Glad to be back.
There you go. Allen's Rigger Service, 578-6300.
Don't know if they were called, but apparently spotted to a situation that they could have been called to yesterday.
What's that guy doing?
How do you get a truck and a cattle trailer completely
90
perpendicular on a downtown city street?
Yeah. And it looked like there was nowhere to go.
No.
There was like a telephone pole behind them and like some kind of a pole or something in front of them. They're in trouble. We're going to have to disconnect, jackknife, and pull that off. But Allen has a 75-ton crane. Literally could come down, pick that, turn it, drive off. That easy.
Well, the funny thing in that picture, there's two guys standing there. They probably could have disconnected the trailer and turned it.
Yes. It's like, been driving along forever. Nope, just a while. 578-6300, that's your go-to tow-to. The VCS studio is brought to you by VCS, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer.
Discounts are the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer for first responders, teachers. They've got some great deals now. So if you were looking for a brand new phone, beat the Christmas rush. Get it now.
Absolutely. Get in there and get that taken care of. Chesnick Furniture Company, 100 years in downtown Victoria, before there was a downtown Victoria. 50 years at their current
As
location.
you pointed out, people needed someplace to sit to read their Victoria Advocate.
Yeah.
75 years later, they came
Isn't that
along.
something? Go see Bobby Leon and his family, and you'll know that Big V is in good hands. And they've got bedding, Tempur-Pedic bedding, appliances,
Recliners,
sofas, love seats, dining room sets.
accoutrement.
They've got it. The French Factor is back. Get down there. Today's a great day to go to Veracruz. I actually went to Veracruz yesterday.
Did you?
I had a chicken fajita taco on a corn tortilla. Now, this is no normal. You think corn tortilla, you know? No,
Yeah.
it's a corn tortilla.
No.
I mean, there was a cob. It's that big. And they brought out chicken fajitas with all we had was the onions on it and all that. No green yesterday. We just did
Nice.
brown, shades of brown.
It's all right.
It was wonderful. Veracruz today, Veracruz tomorrow, then no Veracruz until Monday. So try to get by there today if you can. So we're caught up.
We are.
I got you back up. Tell me about this Breonna Taylor situation. Because we're looking at rioting, the latest excuse to loot and riot in Louisville.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Well, and other cities. And the grand jury yesterday comes back. No charges against the police officer that shot and killed her. The grand jury, folks, which, is usually made up of your peers.
Right. Normal people off the street, not lawyers, not judges, not politicians.
That have to sit for 6 months at a time or whatever it is. I don't know the exact
you
rules
get
in
drafted
Louisville.
to a grand jury and you have to serve. When they convene a grand jury, it's your turn to go.
They did bring back 3 wanton disregard charges against one of the police officers who was fired in June, whose shots went through walls and through adjacent apartment.
I think that's a result of the times we live in. And it may be accurate. It may be that this officer was wantonly endangering other people because he discharged his weapon in a bad direction. But 2 years ago, no officer would have been charged for that. There was we had a warrant. We knocked on the door. We knocked on the door again. See, I was always told
let's go through the media narrative on this, right? Breonna Taylor, innocent victim, caught in a no-knock warrant, which Kamala Harris yesterday perpetuated.
Yes, knowing better. She knows better.
After the press conference yesterday, she continued to perpetuate the no-knock warrant myth, as was a story this morning that I read that said the same thing. Because according to the press conference yesterday with the DA, they had both a no-knock warrant and a traditional warrant, and they executed the traditional warrant.
Right.
The no-knock warrant.
Hello,
police.
Open up.
Pizza.
They had the ability.
Are you that sharp?
They had the ability to knock the door down, but they didn't.
But then when there was no response, or I'm not sure exactly because it didn't quite get all those details, they forced their way into the apartment.
Right.
And the story still. Breonna Taylor killed as her boyfriend exchanged gunfire with the police. This is the story I read this morning. No, the boyfriend started the gunfire with the police. He stood there, and when the door opened, he opened fire.
play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
So yes, she was probably caught in the crossfire at that point.
Cue Stevie Ray Vaughan music.
But I don't know. I mean, my boyfriend's standing there with a gun as the police are trying to come in, and I wouldn't have a boyfriend.
I was say you get that red ball in your mouth and the leather strap on thing.
I guess you're not moving at that
I
point.
guess you're just going, uh-oh,
Yeah.
Is this going to be on the Inquirer?
But maybe I go hide in a back bedroom if that's the case, or I go open the door with my hands up and say, I'm out of here.
But the way the original story was told was little Breonna Taylor, just a sweet child, a EMT, just a public servant. Mean old police came up and totally in error, just kicked in her door, walked in and said, "You black person," bam.
Well, that was the first story. Oops,
Yeah.
wrong apartment, right? No.
Not what happened.
And turns out her name was on the warrant because she was probably going to be arrested for being
Like, wasn't she
involved in
moving money
yeah,
around for him?
that's according to the local TV station in Louisville, they got anonymous sources sent them like 30 pages of police documents, and she was apparently moving around a whole bunch of money. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars for her boyfriend while he was in jail.
James Kurtz says her death, unfortunate as it is, has nothing to do with her race. Totally agree.
Caught in the crossfire, and that's the horrific tragedy here. But again, she was an EMT, but whoa. Saw a report yesterday that she is probably, I think, and I wasn't able to verify it, but so
take it.
You can find it
salt.
with a grain of salt. Fired from that job 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. I don't know why, but was no longer an EMT from what I
Right.
from
She may be an EMT, right? But she wasn't she wasn't an employed EMT. The whole deal is.
But the fact that the media ran with this narrative and continues to run with the narrative, and our vice president candidate continues to run with this narrative, when the facts were laid out yesterday in a press conference, and they're 180 degrees from what has been perpetuated as what happened and continues to be perpetuated. So the facts don't matter to the mainstream media. They don't care about the facts. It's all about perpetuating an agenda and a narrative.
There's no
and
doubt.
driving it.
Worth noting, though, that
and no way am I saying her involvement should have cost her life.
Yeah, she didn't deserve to die.
No, not at all.
And like I said, the officer may have been wantonly endangering people by firing off through the walls, but worth noting that we chose not to dive in here and defend the police or to condemn her until all the facts came out. And you have to admit, by any standard, the facts go, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, they didn't tell us that. Can we just stop for a second and point out the fact that that's the first time I've seen Noack on our screen in months? Do you think does he have a client somewhere that said, I don't like those Wade and Carter guys?
I don't think so.
Noack's been laying low. Where's he been? Noack, you got some explaining to do.
But it is a
You were
difficult
like
situation all around.
You were as regular
As
as
Geritol.
Grandpa's BM. And the next thing you know, you don't show up.
Well, you call him out like that, he might not show up again.
No. Noack knows we love him. He's part of the show.
Who's original?
Yeah, Christina, see, she goes all military. She goes, EMT who had access to drugs, consequences of being involved in dealing drugs. Drugs can be the problem. Isn't it interesting that now that we have a Supreme
And her boyfriend's in jail and her current boyfriend's, a criminal. Maybe make some better choices for the men in your life.
while you were gone, while you were away, while you were frolicking around with your child bride, who's better looking than you are, you missed it that Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, and it immediately, I'll give you the quick synopsis, the 30-second synopsis. Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away.
I wasn't on Mars.
She in her dying breath, don't let Trump replace me. That's what she told her granddaughter. She had a moment of clarity, a moment to speak to her granddaughter. And one of the most brilliant political minds in history
And defender of the Constitution by her
Addressed-
role in the Supreme Court.
Who previously had said that to the victor goes the spoils, the
Yeah.
person in office gets to, don't worry about that. We believe them, wink, wink, that's what she said. They probably said to the grieving granddaughter, could she have said that? She told you she loved you, but could she have said, would you think she might have said? And that's what they reported. Ginsburg on her deathbed, which who cares what she said on her deathbed, has nothing to do with the Constitution. Enough of that.
But wouldn't that, if she said that, wouldn't you want to go back and review almost every, I mean, if she's that blatantly disregardful for the Constitution on her deathbed?
Yes. But, or you can go back and just view her words where she talks about Obama having the right to name somebody. But how about this? What it did is it immediately cured COVID. It immediately, the debate over semi-automatic weapons is over. You never hear anything anymore because all they're driving on now is if you elect Trump, you're going to make Roe v. Wade. If you're a 10-year-old girl, you need to be aware that when you get to be 13 and you need an abortion, it's not going to be available because of Donald Trump.
Like Torrin Bale says, she doesn't own the seat. It's not like she had the seat license.
It's the PSL.
Yeah, at Cowboy or at AT&T Stadium, and left it in the will to her granddaughter to sell it to the next highest bidder because the granddaughter can't afford it.
Then the Dems started saying, well, maybe we need 13 people on the court. They started wanting to add people.
Yeah. And the interesting thing with all this, Mitch McConnell's a hypocrite. But they conveniently leave out the fact that no nominee from President Obama in 2016 was going to get nominated or confirmed by the Senate. They might have been somewhat moderate.
Eminem was not getting the bid.
They weren't getting nominated, regardless of the names that he put up there.
Jay-Z.
Garland, whoever, it didn't matter. They weren't getting nominated, or they might have been nominated.
Well, Bush put in John Roberts, and he's liberal.
Yeah. But the interesting thing with this is Mitch McConnell played bully and Barack Obama backed down. I mean, he could have forced the issue, I would think, for the Senate to at least take it up, couldn't he have?
Yeah.
Here's my nominee.
He didn't do one.
So I don't know. I mean, but now they're, oh, he's a hypocrite. Of course he's a hypocrite because the situations have changed. Let's be honest. It's
a Republican president now.
A Republican president and a Republican-controlled Senate. The world hasn't ended with the appointments of Gorsuch and Kavanaugh.
They've done good. And sales of American beer have gone up.
As the Dems would have had you believe prior to either one of them being appointed and confirmed that the Supreme Court, the minute Gorsuch was going to be on the bench, Roe v. Wade was over.
Yeah.
Same thing with Kavanaugh after they tried the old fake sexual assault claims.
What does that say right above there?
Kyle Novak says, I think Trump gets impeached for being unfit for the job, and now the Dems are asking him to not do his job as laid out by the Constitution. Oh, that's exactly
it. Or they'll
it.
impeach him again.
They only want him to do his job when it benefits them. They don't want him to do his job when it doesn't benefit them. It's interesting. You've got to give COVID relief. You've got to pass a budget to keep the government running. But you can't nominate a Supreme Court justice to fill the vacancy that you're required to do by the Constitution.
Right. We spoke the other day about the fact that 22 million jobs were lost in the United States during the COVID debacle, and now you've had about 10 million of those jobs come back. The government doesn't need to pass any more subsidy stuff. The government needs to get out of the way. Get rid of this mask garbage.
It didn't hit me until yesterday, speaking of masks, that it's interesting. If you look at the timing of masks, everybody must wear a mask. And then a couple of weeks later, relatively, rioting and looting starts. And why do you need to wear a mask when you're participating in criminal activity? So you can't be identified and found guilty,
right,
or held accountable.
Somebody told me the other day, what do you think about, is this a violation of someone's civil rights? So you've got the right to publicly assemble. and to peacefully protest. In China, when those protests start to turn ugly, the government comes in with essentially the water cannon and sprays you down with dye.
Well, the government potentially is starting to make those protests go ugly.
But
That's the thing out of China is they're not getting ugly on their own. The government is paying people, or government operatives are going in and turning them into violent clashes.
But what do you do? Do you see it as a violation? So you go down to the protest just to get your word in. And all of a sudden, one of the guys up in front of you starts bashing up on a cop car. Are you, by definition or by association, are you part of that disruption? Because see, what they were talking about doing is coming in and spraying all those people down with Donald Trump's skin bronzer, right? So everybody will be orange.
That would be awesome.
And they'll find you later. They'll find you later because it's going to stain your skin. Is that about, hey man, I wasn't there. Yeah, you were. Citrus Boy, you were there. And you're under arrest. Is that a violation? Well, I didn't mean, hey, hang out with bad people, pay consequences. I wonder about that guilt of association. Is it legit?
Well, here's what you do though. 6 o'clock curfew. Anybody there at 6:01 is going to start getting sprayed. You're violating our curfew.
I love it. You're going to see when Trump wins this election, cities are going to burn. But now that Trump's going into his last term, you're going to see the National Guard unleashed on people. You watch. You're not going to want to be that guy. Don't be out on the streets causing trouble.
Well, the video yesterday in Louisville of a U-Haul van unloading all their signs, riot shields for the Antifa protesters.
Unbelievable.
So, but Antifa isn't an organization. It's not organized. Really. Somebody had to organize a U-Haul van full of signs and anti-riot gear.
It's just like here, though. The left is really gutless and weak. Only in groups do they cause trouble, which is why you don't see all that garbage down here. The Antifa folks come down here, they get shot. The judge would say, man, bummer for those folks. Where are we going to dinner? You don't want to play that game down here.
Chris Conrad says, bring back water cannons. The problem with water cannons in June, July, August, and early September.
Kids will think it's a game.
Yeah, exactly. It's a break from the heat.
Yeah.
But you know what? Bust out those water cannons in November and December if this crap is still going on, and a different story.
It's about 8 degrees in Chicago. Did you see that? I saw one the other day said that
I think it'll get worse if Biden wins. To be honest, I think these folks will be so emboldened. No, I think the left will become so emboldened that their activities made a difference. They're just going to continue to ramp it up.
I don't think that Biden's going to win.
I don't either. But Antifa doesn't care. They don't want Biden to win. They want communism and Marxism to take hold because they want to be the ruling class. Make no mistake about it. They're using what's going on and being driven by the media to their advantage. But these folks are Marxists, and they want to hold everybody down, and they want to become the ruling class. So if Biden wins, they will become more emboldened, and it won't stop. It'll get worse.
It's bad. Steve Kidder, while you're out there thinking, tell us what would happen. Walk us through. The ballots have already been printed. Joe Biden, this latest stuff going on with Russia and his son and
getting paid by the former mayor of Moscow's wife.
That's pretty close to Russia, right? The former mayor's wife gave Hunter Biden $3.5 million bucks. So here's my question. But they're blaming Trump for being in bed with the Russians, but it's actually Biden. So here, what are the odds? I want you to think about that. What are the odds that Joe Biden's kid gets $3.5 million bucks from the Russian mayor's wife?
On top of all the money he got from Burisma for serving on that board with no experience. On top of all the money he got from China, $1.5 billion. I mean, this is very quickly becoming $2 billion worth of money.
So what happens if the Democrats, and I know this is not going to happen because they just don't care because he's not Donald Trump. But what if Kamala Harris forced the issue and said, hey, this guy, I told y'all he was unfit for office. I badmouthed him while we were debating. Do you just bounce up? So let's say that the Democrats decide that there's too much smoke around Joe and they pull him from the race. Does Kamala become the presidential nominee, or do you insert whoever was left standing last?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders or somebody like that.
Sanders Harris.
Is that what happens? I don't know. I did hear that in Chicago that they are taking off the sirens off of police cars, and they're putting on a loudspeaker that plays the national anthem. And they're thinking that that will cause people to stop running and take a knee. And then when they do that, they'll be easier to arrest.
Gotcha.
That makes sense, right?
Will make perfect sense.
I think that makes perfect sense.
It may not make perfect sense to you, but Razor IT Solutions can make it make perfect sense.
It doesn't make sense to us, which is why you need John Paul Hull. You want him on that wall. You need him on that wall.
You can't handle it.
That's exactly right, because you don't understand it. But your analytics, your algorithms, your encryption, I didn't even steer the conversation that direction the other day because I had nothing to say. But he does. Reach out to JP Hull. Let him help you with your website presence. Let him help you with your Facebook presence, your ability to receive monies over the internet, have it go right into your QuickBooks. He can do it all. So, hey, wait, let Joe Biden get off the plane. Hey, Joe. Ads and offer dealership since 1926, Victoria's dealer. It's just that simple. There's really no place else to go. You want to buy a Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi? They've got it right now, like a brand new Ford Raptor sitting on the gently pre-owned section. It's brand new. Thing's beautiful. Go by, see what they've got. Go to adsandoffer.com. You can shop online. You can put in all your credit information. You can buy the vehicle online. White Trash Services, 550-1826. BJ Nelson's going to come in and do a show with us.
Good.
And we'll just.
I was worried that you were going to bring BJ in when I wasn't here because I don't think either one of us could handle BJ Nelson alone.
Not by ourselves. She's a tornado. 550-1826, though, she'll help you keep all your garbage in one little area. Roll off dumpsters, 6-county region, Holiday Beach, Rockport. Talking in words, not talking in sentences. That's the bit. 550-1826. White Trash Services. So we're gonna go over today. We're going over. We're celebrating Ash coming back. It may be 8:07 before we actually get out.
So you want to hear the highlight of my trip?
I've been wanting to hear the highlight of your trip.
So, Cheryl and I got away. No dogs, no kid, no grandkid. Nice vacation, right?
Right.
We decide to have a romantic evening.
I like it.
Starts
off.
Your head's at. It starts off with poutine and Newfoundland Screech.
And did she get an injection for that, or was there a topical cream? I mean, how do you make that go away? Because that hurts things. If Dawn comes to bed and says, "Hey, lover, I got some Screech," I'm like, dang, does it itch? I mean, what is that?
It's like a rum.
Oh, yeah, there's booze involved. You're Canadian. I forgot.
So then the log rolling was closed.
Bummer.
We couldn't find the caber toss because it was a little too windy.
Caber.
So the telephone toss.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's right. Jeez.
It's called a caber.
She'd beat you at that.
She would. So we find the next best thing. We go throw some hatchets.
Folks, these places exist. And Maple Leaf Cafe for the poutine. Is this Dallas?
That was in Dallas.
And then there's a place to throw a hatchet.
Was called Stumpy's.
Well, I wonder why.
It's pretty genius.
Wow.
Didn't get to meet Stumpy. He was still in the hospital.
Yeah, he lost once.
But, the only thing that would have made that evening even more romantic would have been some hockey on the TV.
Right.
But there was no game being played.
Or public curling.
Or some curling.
There was some curling. That would have been great.
So, we have a couple beers, we throw some hatchets. I mean, now we're getting.
Nothing says Canada like having a couple of drinks and throwing a sharp object.
Now we're getting into the zone, right?
Right. Oh,
it's
pure foreplay.
Pure foreplay. This is Canadian foreplay.
Oh yeah.
Strong beer and hatchets.
Is that a hatchet in your mug clutch, or are you just happy to see me? Yeah, I see it. It's going down that way. You think you're looking good, is what you're telling
Things
me.
are looking good. I got my lumberjack gaiters on.
Nice.
So, so the saw ain't coming back
I
on
am
me.
a lumberjack.
I don't
Okay.
care.
Oh, yeah.
I work all day. I work all night and I sleep all day.
There
However
you
it goes.
go.
It's been a while since I had to sing that one.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So skip forward to the
So
hotel.
then
Get me
we
back to the
we
good
get
stuff.
back, right?
Sorry, folks.
And-
We're just having a
and, you know,
conversation.
Like a couple of high school kids, and Cheryl goes and puts on her red and black plaid flannel
Oh, that's
negligee.
That's not even fair when she does that.
I know. I mean,
With
that's
the footies?
no.
No, with the unbuttoned back flap?
Yes.
Sweet. You got the back flap.
No footies because
Things looking good.
no footies because that could rip a nail
Right?
when you're getting hot and heavy, and you
Sure.
don't want that.
Don't want to catch a nail.
No. I've got my lumberjack boxers on. I mean, we're getting there, right?
It's all
Only
uphill.
thing missing, some romantic Gordon Lightfoot or the Bare Naked Ladies or maybe Anne Murray.
Anne Murray.
So I grab my phone. I mean,
Spread your tiny wings and fly away.
I grab my phone and I quickly get to YouTube and I'm trying to find, something.
Anything.
Right.
You need it. Gordon Lightfoot.
Gordon, I mean, something.
There's nothing says foreplay like the
No.
wreck of the Edmund
Nothing at
Fitzgerald.
all. William Shatner, singing, speaking, Rocket Man.
I forgot he was Canadian.
Yeah. So I'm trying. I got YouTube. Fire it up.
This is the moment.
This is the
It's
moment.
about to happen.
This is going to be the background. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. What happens?
Your voice comes on because the only thing that pops up is the Wade and Carter show and
It was
kill the
over.
mood. Done.
How is that?
She had a headache. I was done.
Right. Thank goodness
It was
we're on
over.
radio.
Thank you, YouTube and Wade and Carter.
I apologize. Going to shift gears. We'll talk about it when he comes in here. I want to talk about Gail Sayers in a few minutes. Real quick, let's tell you, Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. Today's a great day. Drive through, brisket, ribs, chicken, sausage, turkey. They've got it all. You will love Uncle Mutt's today. Anne Murray, there's an E on Anne Murray, James Kirk.
Yes, there is.
Get in there and let Uncle Mutt.
She's from the
take
East
care of
Coast.
you. She's from the East Coast.
West Coasters spell it with no E.
Poor Cheryl. Adam Shooter, I think, is willing to sub in. I hope he'll put on his mucklucks and get into the fray. Uncle Mutt's today. Be great for you and your family. Pick it up. USA Foundation Repair, USA Concrete Coatings. Charlie Garcia is doing great things. I called the other day, and Charlie gave us like a great update. He goes, hey, I'm still doing these jobs in one day. Clean out the garage. I fill in the cracks. We level everything up. We put down the coat. It's better than epoxy. It's good to go. You'd love it. USA Concrete Coatings, 578-HOME. That's who you reach out to. Charlie Garcia, tell them Wade and Carter sent you.
Patrick Snow says he wants to hear Cheryl's version of the story.
Yeah. Cheryl's version was like, it's just like our honeymoon. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Great Barn Design. Call Cheryl. She can at least help you plan a romantic
That's
evening.
right.
Sounds like you did a good job of trying.
Tried.
Poutine, skeech,
Screech.
screech.
Hatchet throwing. I mean, I don't know what else. I didn't know what else to pull out. All the stops.
Apparently you didn't pull out the right bat.
All the stops.
920-6803. Reach out to Cheryl. She hates me now. And I apologize for that. And then, of
Not
course,
now.
Wind Services, she's like, oh, saved by the Brent. Wind Services, Wind Electrical, Wind Plumbing, Wind Generators, Wind Solar Panels. Reach out. If it's electric, whether you need more electric or you need a variety of electric substitutions. Solar panels with a battery backup, generators. What are you thinking?
Well, no, it just got me to thinking. California is going to get rid of internal combustion engines. They have rolling blackouts now because they have power issues.
Right.
How are you going to go to all electric cars when you don't have a reliable power grid?
You can't. That's what you got to
That's
have.
why you need a backup
You need
generator, because if we ever get to that point in Texas, you're screwed.
Fonzie says, hey, a chopped sandwich to start off your romantic evening tonight. That'd be like if I tried to tell the same story, like I guess Dawn and we'd probably start off at Veracruz at lunch and have something that would give us all a bunch of gas. Then we'd go eat a chopped beef at Uncle Mutt's with, put the onions on the side.
And the jalapenos.
Right. And we drink a bunch of iced tea. So we both had to go to the bathroom on different schedules for the next 2 hours. And then I guess we'd go home and play a little catch. We'd throw a softball for a while.
Maybe a football.
The whole hatchet throw. Did you have any proficiency? Did you stick the hatchet in the wall?
Yeah, but I'll be honest, Cheryl was she outscored me.
Of course, she's better. She's better at everything y'all do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you and I both married way above our pay grades. Nothing wrong with it. Brother Gary's right here. He'll tell you. Brother Gary, I need to tell you some sad news.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you some of the info I got together today. The Kansas Comet, Gale Sayers has passed. Joined the league in, I think, 64, 65. He and Dick Butkus drafted back-to-back. The Bears traded for a pick. They drafted Gale Sayers, who was the best running back in the country, and they drafted Dick Butkus, who once said his idea of a perfect tackle was to hit a quarterback and his head would pop off. That's what he said was his idea.
You get fined now for making that sort of statement.
And those two men played together and never played a playoff game.
And that's sad.
And Gale Sayers tore his knee up in 68. It was the relationship between he and Brian Piccolo was memorialized in the movie Brian's Song. It has since been redone. The original is better.
He handed him his award as the NFL comeback player of the year or something like that.
Yes, and of course Piccolo passed.
Yeah.
But Sayers came back
5 solid years was it.
In 69, though, after the debilitating injury, he came back and led the league in rushing. Not only does Sayers lead the league in rushing, Butkus is named the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year, and the Bears win one game. One game, folks. They put nobody else on the field with those guys.
They should have more because Sayers is one of the best backs you ever want to see.
Punt returner, kick returner, had a game in like 66.
Six touchdowns in one game.
Six touchdowns in one game.
In 1975, the NFL released their all-century team, I guess, or three-quarter century team, their all-time team. He was the only player named 2 positions, running back and returner.
But when you start saying, when you get,
and he only played 5 full seasons.
But when you get to the youngest man ever inducted into the Hall of Fame,
well, he was that great. And Butkus together, those two, that you want to watch the Bears just because those two.
That's true. I can remember watching Butkus as a kid. Of course, he was older in his career,
right.
Was still dominant and very highly feared. But when you start getting into that list,
and then he went on the Love Boat.
But with Butkus, I think the list at linebacker starts and stops with Butkus. I mean, there are others. Singletary even comes to mind, but Butkus is the standard. It's the Butkus Award. But when you watch Sayers, and if I said I'll throw one to the Cowboy fans, if I say Emmitt Smith, Earl Campbell, Eric Dickerson, O.J. Simpson, Gale Sayers, Barry Sanders, I'm right there with 6 guys that. I don't. But like Bums Phillips said, I don't know what class they're in. It just doesn't take very long to call roll, and that's the truth.
Sayers,
phenomenal.
And I'm not as old as you, so I didn't get to see him live.
But you defined him. Your definition was great.
But watching enough of his film,
fantastic.
To me, he was Barry Sanders,
yes, sir,
and Tony Dorsett in one body. He had speed and power and elusiveness and shiftiness that until he came along, the NFL hadn't seen the likes of a Gale Sayers prior to that, and I don't know that they've seen it since.
No.
He was Barry Sanders before Barry Sanders, they said.
You ever toss a hatchet? You ever done a hatchet?
Yeah.
So you're a lefty too. So
lefty.
Yeah. By the way, Sayers also threw a couple of touchdown passes and was a lefty. I did not know that.
They showed highlights of him the other day. After what a player, man! Just to watch those runs. We watched that live.
When I saw
John Hutton says the real test of hatchet throw is if you have a peaceful protester moving towards you and you're able to maintain your composure
and hit your target. Well, when it doesn't give you a lot of confidence to go to a place called Stumpy's, where like at some point he's like, "Hey, you're out of time." Like his arms pinned to the target. You're out of time at Stumpy's. What I remember,
that's where you catch the sleeve, right? You pin him.
Sanders had that. He could do this. His legs were going one way and his body was going the other.
Too.
But Sayers was the guy that could be running full speed this way, say around the right end. And I've got a specific play in my head. He's going around the right end. Right? They're all coming this way at him. And it's like he just jumps over about 4 feet and never loses a step. And it was incredible to see. I think he was an alien. He was transported over there.
Big fan of Gale Sayers. And you're right. Good way to start that.
Super one.
So good.
Alzheimer's and
Let me
dementia guy.
Let me get this one bit in.
What do you got?
Fall barbecue luncheon this Saturday, and it's at VFW Hall, 11 o'clock. Pulled pork, bun, potato salad, ranch beans, supporting local veterans. We got to get that in.
Fantastic. I think I saw one here too.
Brother Adam says, Brother
Is this
Gary
right?
buries hatchets. He doesn't throw them.
There you go.
Right?
Adam, I love you.
He's a sweet guy.
And that's one of our former students who are having a benefit this weekend.
This one.
You want to go ahead?
Yes, John JJ Dynamite Cantu,
Former student.
a former student of Brother Gary's.
Former DJ here.
Yes,
DJ here.
this Saturday, September 26th, my birthday,
Oh, really?
the KC Hall, 3610 North Ben Wilson. Chicken, sausage, rice, and beans, $10 a plate. You can call Chrissy Arguez at 361-489-6101.
That's right. And it was postponed until this weekend. And to drive through, there'll be a raffle and bake sale.
So that's this Saturday, 11 to 3, folks. Drive
KC Hall,
through,
just up the road.
help him
Just
out.
up the road. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's two good ones right there. I want to mention.
Lilo hasn't complained about us in over a week.
No, he likes you.
Yeah, we like him too. I feel like he's kind of our conscience. We have to have a little edge with Lilo, every now and then.
He likes that.
He does. He likes that edge. I see the Hall of Famer finally dragged in here.
He got his tomato juice. He's okay.
Wow.
I got a good one for you, boys.
V8, he says.
Yeah, V8. That's right.
Yeah.
Juice.
You ever have like a constitutional issue with him, like in the middle of the show? It's like, hey, Brother G, I'll be back, baby.
With 2 hours, you got to go the rest
Stretch, Gary. Stretch.
Now, here's Stairway to Heaven.
I wondered what this 5-gallon bucket was underneath this.
Wow, play some music with that.
Wow.
All right, boys. You got
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
Back with American Pie.
We missed you, sir. Of course, carried on well, but you're missed when you're not here. You want to check on you and the family, but you had a good
I'm
time.
just known lovely as carried on well.
Yeah.
I'm just carried on well.
You carried on
I had a great time.
That's your Elizabeth Warren name.
Caleb
Carried
Shaw,
on well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't handle
That's
the
a good
board.
song.
My Indian name is Can't Handle the Board. You got Caleb Shaw. You
Right.
got John Paul
Oh,
Hall.
2 good guys.
You got, of course, George Coleman came and did he come back and spend some time with y'all?
We talked to him. We're going to bring him on.
Super nice man.
And I know him. I met
Yeah.
him. Nice guy.
Super
He
nice
enjoyed
guy.
it, he
I
said.
think he had a good time.
He did. So anyway, Ash, I hope you had a great time.
Yeah, we did. Did you miss I laid out the whole
Yeah.
trip for you.
You were gone like 4 days when you had other chances.
We got it down now, buddy. Okay. I do want to say, we got something. I always try to find something. Richest people, billionaires in Texas, they had the top 10. There are 40 Texas billionaires on the Forbes 400 list.
That's it.
Michael Dell's got to be close to the top.
He's dead. He's number 2.
Okay.
32.3 million. He's 18th on the overall 400 list. Number 1. Has to have a Walton at the end of the name, right?
Oh, okay. So it's a
Alice
lot.
Walton, 51.4 million. She's number 11 on the total list, but in the top 5, you know this guy. will.
Billion. Really, Gary's talking millions, but it's billions.
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 Billions. 51.4 billion. He's number 11 on the Forbes list. This is billions. What man do we know that has a football team is in the top 5?
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. He is worth, boys. Y'all ready, ladies and gentlemen? He's worth $8.6 billion. He ranks 56 on the Forbes 400 list. So he's in the top 56 richest people.
And realize that in 1989, when he bought the Dallas Cowboys in total for $140 million, he had nothing left. I mean, that 140 was his leveraged, and don't get me wrong, he was rich. If you have $140 million to spend on a football team, but he had a vision for profit.
140 was big back in those days.
And I don't care what kind of, I mean, this is bigger than Google stock. I mean, his wealth has grown stupidly.
Oh yeah,
And only had and still screwed up and got rid of Jimmy Johnson.
He's one of the top 5. Wasn't in this
In
round.
spite of himself, the value of that team is continuing to grow.
We've seen that repeat itself over the years, haven't we?
Adam Sugar asked about the Bass brothers. Are they still?
I didn't see that. Bass Brothers probably in there somewhere.
They're certainly billionaires, but they're probably not up in the top of.
He's 56, Jerry Jones, of the 400. Top billion.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
In the country or in Texas?
In the country.
In the country.
Yeah,
He's
you
number
know,
5 in Texas.
Mark
Okay.
Cuban is a billionaire, but I don't know to what level. 2 point something, I think.
So who's number one on this list, brother?
Alice Walton.
Oh, she's number one.
She's number one on Texas. I wasn't checking before.
There's so much.
So she got out of Arkansas as quickly as she could then.
She,
Right.
next thing you know, oh, Allison Millionaire.
Billionaire.
Real quick, pick them. Dallas and Seattle. What do you like?
Seattle.
Seattle.
Seattle minus 4.5.
Yes.
Houston at Pitt. Pitt's the favorite, 3.5.
Pittsburgh.
Was Houston off last week?
No, they were off. They lost.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everybody's mad at Coach O'Brien. I'll give you a prediction.
Okay.
A choice and a prediction. Houston loses, and when they lose, they fire O'Brien this week.
If there's a good chance Pittsburgh's undefeated and they're playing in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Dallas is playing in Seattle too. That's going to be tough games for both of them.
Well, again, the problem with Dallas obviously isn't their offense. They didn't start well,
Right.
but you give up
9-7.
Dallas was in the power rankings. They were number 12. Even though they won, they went to 15.
Well,
They've got no defense.
that fluky win took them from 8-8 to 9-7.
Yeah.
I bet it's a birthday, so let's get out of here.
Let's see what's up. Let's see who this is. Hello, caller. Can we help you? Hello.
Guess we can't.
I guess not. The other day, BJ Noble called and said she could hear me, but I couldn't hear her. So maybe there's
Maybe
something
there's
on there.
We'll have to check it.
Brother man, we love you. You got the Hall of Famer coming in
Hall
next.
of Famers right here. I'm sticking. What we do, we have to go to the restroom, coach.
Right,
Our show.
You guys go pee. We'll stretch this out.
Stretch.